one of Ash's most powerful Pokemon of all time. The Pokemon that changed the anime forever. Today we are going to talk about Ash's Charizard, its backstory, and the legacy it left in its wake. Hey everyone, it's Charles. How are you today? While Pikachu has always been a relatively static, reliable companion, Ash's Charizard introduced tremendous volatility and complexity into Ash's life as a Pokemon trainer. Not to mention that it brought a 100 episode plus story arc along with it that broke new ground for drama and development in Ash's relationships with his Pokemon. What we may not have realized back then is that the big splash it made would create ripples that can still be felt over 1,100 episodes deep into the anime. So let's talk about that big splash, Charizard's story, its importance, and the legacy it left behind. As always, it'll be a fun time, so kindly pick up your Diglett and seismic toss it at that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe and hit the notification bell with a hard, swift attack, and let's jump right in. To briefly brush up on how Ash's Charizard came to be, way back in episode 11 of the anime, Ash came across a Charmander that had been left to await its trainer's return on a large rock in the woods. Initially, this Charmander resisted Ash's attempts to capture it, choosing to remain loyal to its trainer and to continue its long wait. But after Ash rescued it from a near-death situation and it discovered the true nature of its trainer, Damien, who had in fact planned to abandon it and never come back, Charmander turned on its former master and joined a trainer with character of superior caliber, our boy, Ash. And Charmander quickly became a key player on Ash's team, helping out in everything from battles to captures to more technical situations, and before we knew it, the relatively incompetent but determined Ash and his timid but capable Charmander became great partners and great friends. Until one day, Charmander evolved into Charmeleon. Ascending to a power level that outstripped Ash's skills as a trainer, Charmeleon stopped listening to Ash and seemingly turned on him almost as it had turned on Damien before him. Ash had no choice but to stop using Charmeleon until one day he was forced into a situation in which he had no choice but to lean on it in an attempt to protect the group from attacking fossil Pokemon. However, Charmeleon would have none of it and as usual turned its back on Ash until it found its ego damaged by an Aerodactyl that toyed with it, easily overwhelmed it, and flaring up with pride and rage, it took a shot at putting into action its only method of getting revenge, evolution. Evolving into Charizard, it rocketed into the sky after Aerodactyl and blasted it with newfound strength that made the other Pokemon on Ash's team look like babies. Pokemon babies. Charizard's raw power left Ash and the group in awe, but it also marked the beginning of Ash and Charizard's run through a gauntlet of highs, lows, disasters, and redemptions that would push their friendship to the brink and back again. Because Charizard, once a loyal companion, would become little more than Damien 2.0, a narcissistic jerk who seemed to love wearing the mantle of power and control and either dominating or dismissing anyone who seemed too weak to be on the same level as it. A list that included opponents, friends, and Ash himself. Sure, Charizard would occasionally deliver big when it played on its own terms, like when, after ignoring Ash's commands and racking up a humiliating loss against Blaine's Magmar, it came back to put Magmar under and put a volcano badge in Ash's pocket. But there was certainly a lot more bad than good in this era of their relationship. Charizard's disrespect for its trainer reached a boiling point in the Indigo League Conference Top 16 when Ash suffered the worst indignity that a trainer can be subjected to at the hands of a Pokemon who was once considered a good friend. Of course, I'm referring to the battle against Richie, in which Charizard refused to battle in a matchup that should have been an easy win, leading to its disqualification and setting fire to Ash's dreams of becoming the Pokemon champion of his homeland. Ash was completely crushed, and one had to wonder if this would be the end of his friendship with Charizard. But it wasn't, as Ash decided to bring Charizard along to the Orange Islands in spite of the humiliation brought upon him in the Indigo League's top 16. But things didn't get better anytime soon, as Charizard would continue to disobey Ash in battles and even embarrassed him in front of one of the region's top trainers, Prima, when his Charizard crushed another trainer's Tauros, only to fly off and set fire to just about everything it could set fire to, all while refusing Ash's demands that it return, necessitating that Prima step in and deal with Ash's apparent incompetence by handling the situation herself. How embarrassing. Prima questions whether or not Ash has any idea what he's doing and can only scoff at his retort that he made it into the Indigo League's top 16, indicating how meaningless his accomplishments are when he's not even at the level at which he can control his own Pokemon. Having a chance to show his stuff to a Katsuragi hot badass like that, only to end up getting reality check spanked and humiliated. Poor guy. It seemed like Charizard would never change, continuing to disregard Ash's pleas and only show interest in battles when it had something it wanted to prove. Until one day, it got absolutely rocked in a battle against Tad's Poliwrath. Refusing to listen to Ash as usual, Charizard quickly found itself crippled by Poliwrath's water gun, effortlessly finished off with an ice beam, and left near death, frozen inside a block of ice on the beach. As a 60-plus episode of unbridled hubris came crashing down in upon itself, Charizard lay there with only one person it could count on, and just as he did back when Charizard was a mere Charmander stranded in the rain, that one person would come to its rescue. Ash was able to break away the ice encasing Charizard's head so that it could breathe, lit fires to melt the rest of the ice, and worked a long, physically painful night to resuscitate Charizard. By the break of dawn, with Ash worn out and his hands rubbed raw from hours of hard labor, the selfish, arrogant, resentful Charizard, who'd been manhandled and encased in a block of ice by a superior opponent, that Charizard disappeared. And was reborn as a Charizard keenly aware of the selflessness and the sacrifices upon which Ash had built and maintained their precious friendship. A Charizard finally back in touch with its trainer after leaving him to walk alone through the dark for so long. And at last we had a Charizard ready to join Ash and take a real shot at becoming champions together. With the ice block melted away and Charizard's flame rekindled, a long frozen relationship had also been thawed and was at long last burning brightly once again. Soon after the two worked together to take out Tad's Poliwrath, Charizard teamed up with Pikachu to win Ash's Jade Star badge, and then came through for Ash yet again to help topple Drake and induct the team into the Orange League Hall of Fame. Charizard then went on to accompany Ash to Johto, where it played a key role in numerous battles, flew the skies with Ash upon its back, and ultimately delivered the finishing blow to Gary's Blastoise in episode 270 of the anime, ending nearly 5 years of rivalry and pushing Ash through to the quarterfinals of the Silver Conference, where it gave Harrison a run for his money before Blaziken snatched away victory by the narrowest of margins. Having redeemed itself many times over, Charizard thereafter left Ash to continue its training in Charcific Valley, where it had much to learn about its own weaknesses as well as brand new challenges to take a swing at. But that was not the end of Ash's Charizard. It would return in Ruby and Sapphire, where it squared off against Nolan's Articuno and became the first Pokemon on Ash's team to bring down a legendary Pokemon in battle. It showed its face again in Black and White, where it took on Iris's Dragonite and helped out in the struggle against Team Plasma. And it even appeared in a flashback in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Not to mention its appearances in the movies, perhaps most notably when it rushed over from Charcific Island to save Ash and Pikachu in the nick of time in Pokemon 3, the movie, Entei, the Spell of the Unknown. Perhaps my favorite Pokemon movie. Perhaps, but that is a topic for another day. Through all of this, Charizard has remained as fiery and competitive as the day it evolved. But ever since that very special night on the beach in the Orange Islands, it has stepped back out of the darkness to shine brightly beside Ash as a true friend. And what a turbulent, exciting, and memorable story arc that was. From grateful rescuee to disgraced heel to redeemed hero, Charizard has carved its name into the annals of the Pokemon anime's history as one of Ash's most powerful Pokemon and one that delivered one of the anime's most memorable story arcs. But beyond that, Charizard retains arguably an even more important title as the first in a series of very special Pokemon on level pegging with Pikachu at the center of Ash and the fans' attention as the founder of the Ace Pokemon archetype. In terms of consistency and overall achievement record, Pikachu is the perpetual powerhouse of Ash's team. But if there is one thing that a long-running anime like Pokemon needs, it's new faces with distinct character arcs, drama, and development. And as permanent fixtures of a series that just hit episode 1118, Pikachu and Ash can't really offer this kind of development on their own, particularly not within the specific structure of the Pokemon anime. Pokemon needs its own version of new crew members, new Z fighters, new ogres, and new direwolves with conflicts and transformation to flesh out the cast, and Charizard delivered on these needs in spades way back in Ash's circa 2000 story, while simultaneously etching out a mold to inform the construction of the Ace Pokemon archetype that would play such a vital role in the future of the anime. But what exactly is an Ace Pokemon? In the context of this video, we'll define it as Ash's star Pokemon, aside from Pikachu, in a given series of the anime, a Pokemon who gets particularly special attention from Ash and delivers in big ways on the battlefield. If we focus on Ash's team, a big chunk of the core drama in the first stretch of the anime was centered on Ash, his trusty Pikachu, and his temperamental but powerful Charizard. And the subsequent segments of the Pokemon anime have generally followed this Ash plus Pikachu plus Ace plus everyone else formula. And while Charizard may have been an extreme case in many ways, and each Ace has brought its own set of issues to the Pokemon anime, each new series has more or less brought a new Ace to the table, which Ash and fans have connected with in a big way. I mean, who didn't love Ash's Infernape in Diamond and Pearl? Ash took Paul's abandoned Chimchar in, much like he took Charmander in years ago, and Infernape ultimately became the star of the show in Ash's Lily of the Valley conference run. Or how about Ash's Greninja in X, Y, and Z? Yet another Pokemon who Ash wasn't the first to train, but took to new heights when he did. I don't think I even need to talk about how incredible Ash and Greninja's bond was, as to date, it probably remains the ace of all aces in the eyes of most fans, and who isn't eager to see it make a comeback. And of course, most recently, we have Ash's Riolu, who the writers are sculpting as the ace of Pokemon journeys, and who Ash is training extra hard as Riolu pushes its limits and edges towards evolution. There's no doubt that aces like Infernape, Greninja, and ultimately Ash's Lucario will go down as classic Pokemon within the ace archetype that Charizard trailblazed, and the massive popularity of such aces has been one significant reason why the anime has continued to hold the attention of longtime viewers. And it all started with Charizard. The ace Pokemon archetype may be the cornerstone of Charizard's legacy, but we also can't forget that Charizard served a particularly important role in the early days of the Pokemon anime, in that it helped us benchmark where exactly Ash was in his journey as a trainer. While viewers who joined the anime in the Diamond and Pearl, XY, Sun and Moon, or the current Pokemon Journeys era have experienced an Ash who was already quite competent at the onset of these shows, back when the early seasons of the show were airing and Ash was relatively green behind the ears, although kind-hearted, courageous, and determined as always, he was pretty awful as a trainer, and it was painful to watch his many missteps. But more than anything, it was Charizard who spelled everything out clearly for him and for viewers in the Indigo League Top 16. The message he delivered translated to something like this: "You are not ready to make it big, kid. Not even close." Everything about Charizard's disobedience and general attitude towards Ash up until episode 107 implied Ash's weakness as a trainer, and even though he managed to get a luck-fueled top 16 finish in the Indigo League against, let's be honest, dreadfully underpowered opponents, his inability to even control his own Pokemon exposed him as little more than a rookie. Getting a grip on Charizard during their Orange Islands adventure marked a big uptick in his performance, and even though he was sloppy as can be all the way through Johto and Hoenn, he began to show the makings of the bad man we have come to know and enjoy in the more recent seasons. And if you look at more recent Ace Pokemon, we see Ash as more of a mentor figure to them, particularly in the case of Riolu. But back in the Charizard era, he was just a kid, lacking skill and respectability, and relying on nothing but passion and grit to push his way through. Oh boy, how things have changed. But that said, Ash hasn't changed at all when it comes to the passion and the grit that he's displayed since day one of his journey. Even if we set aside his league achievements and merely stack his experience with Charizard in itself up against his experiences with fan favorites like Infernape or Greninja, it's crystal clear that he is transformed from a naive boy starting out his journey who couldn't even command his own Charizard into a formidable trainer who commands respect from the Pokemon and the people around him. And as much as we can thank Charizard for establishing the ace Pokemon archetype, we can also extend our gratitude for how it helped to push Ash to his limits and ascend to the next level. From first hello to tentative goodbye, from innocence to turbulence, fallout, and redemption, Ash's journey with Charizard was a wild one and a big indicator of his weakness, growth, and strength as a trainer. At the time he squared off against Richie in the top 16 of the Indigo League, he was inexperienced, brash, and leagues below the level of trainer he'd become by the time he had substantial league experience under his belt and was showing us his very best in Diamond and Pearl, XY, Sun and Moon, and most recently, Pokemon Journeys. That match is a milestone that absolutely transformed Ash. But more so than Richie, it was in fact Charizard who was Ash's real adversary in that crushing defeat 21 years ago. Charizard, the Pokemon who represents some of Ash's greatest successes and greatest failures. The Pokemon who pulled attention away from Pikachu and established the Ace Pokemon archetype. And the Pokemon who, when it really counted, showed its quality and helped Ash soar higher than ever before. Without a doubt, Ash's Charizard changed Pokemon forever.